For this video, I wanted to briefly go over three things pertaining to the series. First, how the Celtics have been playing the series and how they can look to get back in it. Next, how the Sixers can look to close out the Celtics and move on to their first conference finals in, well, forever. First in my lifetime. And what it could potentially look like for the Sixers if they close out this series and how far they could possibly go. For the Celtics, they find themselves in a familiar situation to last season, where they got down 3-2 after an embarrassing Game 5 home loss in the second round. Last year to the Milwaukee Bucks, and as we all know, they would eventually rebound and close out the series in 7. The main source of hope for Celtics fans being that you've been here before, your core has been here before, and Philly is very susceptible to choking in big spots. So your main hope is that the Celtics finally figure it out at the right time and they could steal this series away down 3-2. Obviously, this isn't the same Celtics team as last season. Hell, I'd say it's better because they kept most of their personnel that made the finals and they added the now sixth man of the year Malcolm Brogdon. This team is better and this team should not be in this situation. But the main difference and why I believe they're in this situation is the poor late game decision making of Joe Mazzulla and the poor preparation, honestly, of Joe Mazzulla. Game 1, that loss to the shorthanded Sixers should have never happened under any circumstances. That was plain laziness, and the series has felt like plain laziness for the Celtics. They felt like they had the Sixers number, and they've looked very arrogant in the way in which they play. Touching on late game decision making, this series could very well just be over with the Celtics winning in 5 games, but their decision making in close games has been incredibly poor. Starting with Game 1, there is no excuse to lose to that team without Joel Embiid, especially in the manner in which it was done. They got into a close clutch game and they were outplayed and outcoached. There was a lot of dumb fouls. They couldn't get shots off. They weren't calling timeouts when they needed to. Their plays were just not ran well. It was very unorganized, and this was not the same team that we saw last season that made the finals. The main difference between Ime and Joe Mazzulla is the late game decision making. Also, that just horrible game 4 for the Celtics. They clawed back into the game. They forced overtime. They had all the momentum. I was talking to my friends who are fans of the Sixers. They were shitting their pants. They thought it was over. They thought they were going to go into a rebuild in the offseason after going down 3-1 and then eventually losing in 5 to the Celtics. But what happened was the Celtics are up 115-110 in overtime. They let up a 6-0 run and they don't score and they lose that game and they give the Sixers new life. They don't slam the door. And the reason the door wasn't slammed is because of bad fouls and they didn't call a timeout before their last play. And if you saw the last play in that game, they didn't get into their action until 5 seconds left and they weren't able to get a shot off. That wouldn't have happened last season. Ime would have called a timeout and drew up a play, and they probably would have had a way better chance to win that game. Joe Mazzulla has not been smart in the clutch by any means, and it's costing them heavily. The final thing to me that's killing the Celtics is their offense is incredibly stagnant and predictable. It's either a 3-point shot or a Tatum or Brown isolation, and the looks they're generating are so inefficient. They can't get many good looks, they can't get many easy shots, and everything just looks extra difficult for them. Switching over to the Sixers, if you lose this game 6 at home, just know the entire NBA world will fucking hate you, besides Celtics fans, of course. There, you have to stomp on their necks and beat them in 6. This is your time. Of all the opportunities you've had over these years, from the Kawhi shot, from choking those leads to the Hawks, you know all of them. You have to win this game 6 under any circumstance imaginable. Now, I am 100% confident in saying this. Last night's win over the Celtics was the best win of Joel Embiid's entire career. I don't want to hear about a regular season game. I don't want to hear about any past playoff games. That game last night was the best win of Joel Embiid's entire career. You saw the title of the video. can the Sixers get over the hump? And the 3 wins they've had in this series, compared to past Sixer teams and past playoff runs, those all would have been losses. Shorthanded without Joel Embiid, that almost felt like a definite loss incoming, but they were able to get it done. That is a championship level win. Game 4, when they had choked the lead, that had felt like the 2021 series against the Hawks. That felt like a game the Sixers were going to lose, but they got over it. That is a championship level win. Last night, Game 5 on the road, in a spot where they felt like they were going to lose once again. They blew the Celtics out. That is a championship level win. Full 100% credit to the Sixers because they have been breaking all the preconceived notions I had on them based off past seasons. Last night's win was so out of character, but in a beautiful way. I expected them to just lose quietly in Boston, but they went in there, and when the Celtics made runs to get back into the game, they stomped on all of them. They silenced all of them. Doc Rivers, credit to him, he made really good adjustments this game, and they were able to take the crowd out of this game pretty early. The Celtics players looked very tense, and there were just a lot of championship level plays made by the Sixers. You just saw one where Jaylen Brown was going up for a fast break layup, and Embiid was able to chase him down, and that was really the ender of this game. There was also just a really big element of timely shots for the Sixers last night. I remember one distinctly where, in the second quarter, the Celtics were starting to go on a run, and it felt very, oh, here come the Celtics, they're going to take command of this game. But of all people, Tobias Harris hit a couple timely shots, and the Sixers were able to take a 9-point lead and a half. And you just saw that for all of last night. Harden would hit timely shots. Maxey would hit a lot of devastating threes. Embiid would hit a lot of huge mid-range shots. Anytime the Celtics attempted to make a push, the Sixers had an answer, and the answer was 10 times as harder as what the Celtics threw at them. My Sixer fan friends are going to hate me for saying this, but this team really feels different. It really feels different this time. And touching on what I said at the beginning with the path after they could potentially win the series, the Heat or the Knicks is an incredibly easy matchup in the conference finals compared to what the Bucks would have been. And in the finals, there's the Lakers, the Suns, the Nuggets, and the Warriors, and you match up with all of them. You really just need to close this series out, and the sky's the limit. This is your chance. This is Joel Embiid's chance. Get it done.